Welcome to the Stack Supplement Podcast, the premier source for supplement news and reviews.
We are back with another episode of the Stack Supplement Podcast, weekly roundup edition, where we pretty much run through all of the top stories and exciting announcements shared on our site from the past 7 days. And last week, as per usual, was filled with more than 10 news stories a day. And we did manage to squeeze in our interview as promised. It was with, I believe we had one planned for Naughty Boy. We got that one delayed. And we had another one scheduled that we managed to move up and get online. And that was with Doug Miller from Core Nutritionals. If you sign up and follow the podcast on Google, iTunes, Spotify, you'll be able to catch that episode on YouTube. It's just to be uploaded. But the Naughty Boy one is coming later this week. Both the one with Doug Miller from Core Nutritionals was awesome, and so was the one with Clint from Naughty Boy, the relatively, in fact, still very new lifestyle company out of the UK. It was great to sit down and get to know the team behind that brand. But to kick this episode off, we're going to touch with some news from the Stacked Pro Supplement Expo, and this is something I believe we're going to be sharing this news later the week. We haven't actually posted about it, but as always, we got a bit of inside scoop here for the podcast listeners, and that is that we have a good amount of, not even a good amount, a lot of people signed up for the expo, and they're going to be bringing some exciting new products and announcements to the event, which, in case you didn't catch it, it is going down on August 10th through to Sunday the 16th. We'll be doing our usual event. If you haven't visited it before or are unfamiliar with the Stack Pro Expo, basically it's our online experience. It's where we pretty much try and give you everything you would get at a regular expo online, anywhere in the world from any device, whether it be mobile, laptop, desktop computer, or tablet. And we pack things like announcements, giveaways, news, videos, information, education, all into the one little website, and that website's only live for 7 days. Now, each brand will have their own little page, or what we refer to as a booth, and we've got a lot of brands on board for that. The list includes Glaxon, BPI Sports, Redcon One, Core Nutritionals is on board, which is an exciting one because they're going to be launching something at the event. Raise Energy, the popular and delicious Raise Energy drink, they're going to be in the mix as well. I believe we have over 20, somewhere around 20 to 30 confirmed for the show for now, which is a good amount. Usually we top out at like 60. We don't kind of like to push the limits on that. Sometimes we can get away with 20. Sometimes we've had 20 to 30 and it's been a great event, but when you get up into that realm of 40, 50, 60, the expo is simple and as easy to navigate as we've tried to make it. It is a beast to try and go through every single brand. Even when we had, I think one time we had 30 something brands, or I think it was around 30. We had like a maximum user visit time of 28 minutes. There were people on their devices visiting and going to every page. So it's a pretty cool thing. Hopefully you'll tune in, but we still got spaces open and they're filling quick. So hopefully we get more on board and to make for an even better and more exciting event. Anyone interested or any information, just hit us up on our social media or reach out via our contact page, which is linked at the bottom of the website. But from here, we're going to kick off with news from the brand we just mentioned, Glaxon, and that is in regards to its first ever limited edition flavor. So despite Glaxon doing a mountain of things in the very, very short period of time it's been on the market, something it hasn't done is limited edition flavors. Which is interesting, obviously, because limited edition products are one of the, I guess, common things you see with newcomers, new brands. They keep it exciting, they keep it interesting, but it's not something Glaxon had done up until now. This past week, they announced that they are coming out with a special edition flavor of their pre-workout, their stimulant pre-workout specimen, which is a very powerful, very strong pre-workout. We've tried it firsthand. Crazy good, great synergy. But yeah, they're coming out with a flavor for the 4th of July. It's called All American Ice. It's going to feature its own little unique label fitting for the occasion, a very patriotic red, white, and blue color scheme. They'll have the American flag on the back, and to fit in with that whole theme, there are only going to be 1,776 units produced. That is, of course, ties in with the year that the Declaration of Independence was signed. If you are a regular follower of Stacked, you will remember that that was something Redcon 1 did. So it's really cool to see, again, first limited edition, and just to do things so differently, but more importantly, and very, very cool, this product's going to have added edible glitter. Now, again, not something we haven't seen before, but it's kind of like a lot of things that are exciting these days. It's not necessarily in the supplement industry when you see brands doing a unique flavor or unique packaging or this and that. It's when they tie it all in together and you get just this well-rounded, unique experience, and that's what makes things exciting and interesting. But so that one's going to be coming out. I believe they're taking pre-orders now from retailers, distributors, and whatnot. So you can probably expect it to be out soon, of course, in time for July 4th. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out sooner, but that is when they're aiming to have it available. And again, extremely limited, only 1,776 units available. Talking about the topic of newcomers, another new brand that we introduced this week, we've just introduced two. We had messaged previously, and that is Unbreakable Gains. Now, this company kind of stood out. I'm not gonna lie, like the branding and the style just popped when they sent it to us. It looked very interesting. Interestingly enough, they had done something similar to what Naughty Boy did, where they unveiled the formula, but didn't actually show us what the product was going to look like. So, Unbreakable Gains is going to kick things off with a pre-workout. They will have more products later down the line. I believe they're aiming to do, I think a protein powder was in the talks, a full spectrum EAA with all 9 EAs obviously, and a creatine formula. But the pre-workout is what's going to kick it off for the company. And again, they revealed the formula, but then later last week they actually revealed what it's going to look like. So you get a whole picture if you just go to the site, type in Unbreakable Gains. But the formula is pretty well rounded for a newcomer to the market, for a very young brand. They've gone with just a nice balance of citrulline, betaine, beta-alanine, tyrosine, caffeine. There's teocarine in there as well, alpha GPC focus. So it's a nice balanced mix, performance, energy, focus, pumps, which has become really the standard, I guess. If you're not delivering all fronts these days, you'll find it hard to compare with other products out there in that incredibly saturated and incredibly competitive pre-workout market. But this one does also have Juglans Regia, which is the powerful stimulant. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out of the gate, how well it does, but more importantly, how well they expand. One of the things that is just proven to be crucial nowadays is not just making your launch big, but carrying it. And the funny thing is you have great examples of companies that have launched big and carried on and remain successful, and that is, of course, Redcon 1, Brand of the Year, won our Brand of the Year award, what was it, second year in, and they only started the first year halfway through. So second year Brand of the Year, third year Brand of the Year. Ghost was the same. They came the most consistent brand ever, I guess, we've ever really had, where they've got runner-up 3 years running, and they just consistently deliver top-notch, great, creative, innovative stuff. And it's awesome to watch them. And again, they launched big right out of the gate, but they've been able to maintain it and keep the pressure on. So that seems to be key with a lot of new brands these days. But you can check out Unbreakable Gains on the site. Just search for Unbreakable. But I guess we'll actually keep on the topic of Ghost while we have them here, as they had a lot of news last week. A lot of news on top of their Nutter Butter Ghost Whey, which was announced last week, which was another authentic collaboration flavor along the same lines as Chips Ahoy, where they partner with a company that isn't really fitness industry related for a special edition flavor. The Nutter Butter has obviously got real cookie pieces in it, and it's got the whole Nutter Butter theme applied to the classic Ghost Brandy for an awesome infusion. And so this past week, despite coming off that big release of Nutter Butter, which was also followed by the availability of Nutter Butter this past Friday at GNC as well as their website, they announced a few more exciting details. The first one was that Ghost is bringing their Chips Ahoy Ghost Away to Europe, but because the Chips Ahoy cookies itself are not overly recognized outside of the US, they've just given it a different name. It's still very, very much the same formula, so you're getting all of the same taste, texture, and all of that jazz, But the name of it is not Chips Ahoy. It is, I believe, Chocolate Chip Cookie. So a more generic type name, but still carrying that solid experience that you get with Chips Ahoy. I believe it's coming. It should be there now. I believe it's available there now, and yeah, should be a good one. And it's great to see them expand that flavor since it was such a big hit. But as mentioned, they had more than just a bit of news last week. They also announced a new limited edition flavor of their pre-workout Ghost Legend, and in true Ghost style, it is a collaboration with one of their athletes. It's very similar to what we saw the brand do very early on with Christian Guzman, then Max Tuning, and now the company's done it with another one of their ambassadors in Rob Lipsett, London-based fitness YouTuber, popular, of course, and he's teamed up with Ghost has teamed up with him for a special edition whiskey sour flavor of the pre-workout Ghost Legend. And of course, there are a few changes to the formula. This is something we've seen Ghost do ever since they did the first Guzman, the second Max Tuning one. So yeah, it is and it's worth pointing this out because someone messaged me and actually had a good point. It's very different from the US version. So what this one is because, fittingly, the Rob Lipsett edition Whiskey Sour Legend is primarily for Europe. It's primarily for the UK and Europe, so all of Ghost fans in that area of the world. And so it is a different version of that version of Ghost Legend in Europe, which is different from the one in the US. So this isn't necessarily, it is a different version compared to the US one, but it's primarily sort of like an extension or expansion of that European version, which is different from the one you get in the US due to rules and regulations. But so they've the formula, and if you haven't come across it before, it is kind of similar, but a lot of big differences, such as you don't get your himbi in Ghost Legends European version, which it's not a compliant ingredient in a lot of different countries. But so if you are familiar with it, the changes Ghost has made is they've kept citrulline the same at 4 grams pure citrulline per serving. Nitrosogene is in there at a higher dose, not 25% higher, I think it's 30% higher, 33% higher dose at a gram. And then there is 60% more beta-alanine at 3.2 grams per serving. And then they've added in the patent-pending performance ingredient Actogen, with everything else still very much the same. For the energy and focus side of things, you still get a gram of taurine, 250 milligrams of caffeine, the branded focus ingredient Neurofactor, theobromine, and then olive leaf. So it's the same as the regular European version with more nitrosogene, more beta-alanine, and added Actogen. So it is very much a different version to what the people in that part of the world get. But it may look extremely different compared to the US version, but that's primarily because it's not really an extension of that one, if that one makes sense. It's a unique whiskey sour flavor, very limited, and it will be available in the US and Australia. But as I said, it is primarily for the European market, so it's going to be available there with very, very limited amounts for the US and Australia, and it will feature that alternative UK formula. So it'll really be the first time people outside of the UK European region are going to get the chance to try it, or at least get a taste of it with those added and increases. So it's quite a unique product. I believe they've said it's coming soon, no dates here yet, but Ghost doesn't really tease or hype things too far out. So I suspect this will be coming very, very, very soon. But from there we go on to Beam. Beam is another brand, kind of like Unbreakable. This burst onto the scene this year, although Unbreakable's still yet to launch. But catch my drift. It's a new brand coming out, and it hit the scene in March, I believe. It had a protein, a collagen. There was 2 proteins, in fact, a vegan and a whey-based one. The vegan being the best tasting vegan we've had, pretty much of all the ones we've tried. And then you had a pre-workout. So this past week they announced their 5th supplement, which is a superfood supplement, superfood formula. Fitting with the trend that we've seen, a lot of companies jumping into this space, a lot of companies bringing on some competition in this area. And so they introduced a product called Super Greens, not to be confused at all with Glaxon's, also named Super Greens. And they've kept it pretty, not, I wouldn't say straightforward, but straightforward into the sense that you've got core greens or even glax and super greens that have a lot bigger varieties of ingredients with probiotics, enzymes, fibers and all that. So they have a more comprehensive mix. Beams greens, it sort of sticks to a more, not simple, but just less diverse or less comprehensive, but still well dosed. It has a 6.73 gram blend of greens, and there is the Spectra blend, the branded Spectra blend at 50 milligrams per serving. Coconut water powder is in there as well. So again, it's not a hugely diverse formula, but it sticks to the name, gives you the greens, and I believe that's going to be available tomorrow. Not too sure on price just yet, but it is going to be available in two flavors, the same two flavors that Core launched its greens in, with berry and chocolate. You can check out the formula in more detail on our website as per usual, but I believe that's coming tomorrow, and it should be available first on, I think it's, it'll be on their site obviously, and I think it's going live around midday, but we'll post on that, especially if there's a deal. But from there, we now head over to one of the, I guess, not one of, but just an extremely exciting functional company in the cereal school, who we stumbled across last year. It was a couple of healthy protein-packed cereal companies we came across last year, coincidentally, and Cereal School was one of them. If you haven't seen their stuff, it's a nice, very nostalgically branded, like just very intriguing style. And that's what I like about a lot of functional companies, is they don't kind of stick to all one theme like sports nutrition. Some things are very similar. Some things are very just, you have to include them, such as facts on the front, whether it be effective, like call-outs and flavors. So a lot of these things are similar, whereas when it comes to functional food, you get companies just getting so much vaguer and more diverse and unique. It's always intriguing to see these. You did get some less exciting ones. Cereal School is one of the ones that I would say has just put some effort in, put some groundwork in, and it's done a great job. And the Cereal School, basically this past week, they've always done cereal products, hence the name, the Cereal School. This past week, they announced their first non-cereal product, and it is a bag of keto-friendly cheese puffs, packing 13 to 14 grams of protein, 4.5 to 5 grams of fat, with just 1 to 2 grams of carbohydrates, a gram of sugar, and a lean 100 calories. So as far as on-the-go protein snacks go, even though its name is keto cheese puffs, the thing is pretty respectable in the protein realm as well. Usually for 13 to 14 grams of protein, especially in like a bar format, you're talking somewhere closer to the realm of 150 calories, at least most commonly. But these guys managed to shrink it down to 100 calories, which is pretty damn lean, pretty damn good. And they've launched that product in two flavors, cheddar cheese and the spicy flaming hot. But an equally exciting or interesting announcement that they did was that they changed their name. Obviously, with the Cereal School making a product that's not cereal, they really had to change the name, obviously, if they're going to dive outside of that realm. But so they changed the name from the Cereal School to Schoolyard Snacks, which again plays nicely into that nostalgic theme that they've been running with since they launched. So it was a pretty fitting, a pretty cool change. And I have to imagine that from here we're probably going to see more from them in terms of expansions into different types of products. I don't really imagine the company changing their entire name, branding, and everything just because they wanted to include keto cheese puffs. I think it's a good chance that they have more lined up outside of cereal, although they'll probably still continue to add to that flagship product of theirs with more flavors or more formats. But yeah, you'll be able to check that one out on the site. But we'll move on from there to Bombar. Now, I've mentioned Bombar multiple times on this podcast. A company out of Russia that has just I'm surprised at how consistent it's been. It's just they've just hammered product after product, and it's been very, very cool to see. And I get this, I mentioned this with a live that I recently did with Rodney from Nutribolics, was that I've always enjoyed seeing companies from different cultures because their decisions and their products and their ideas are very different from what you'll typically see in the US. Canada and whatnot. And being a company all the way out from Russia, it's really interesting to see the directions that they take and the routes that they go. I think we even talked about more recently their real food snack, a little glass jar of just chicken breast, flavored chicken breast, which I thought was crazy unique, but probably very thought out and very made sense for them. And we've seen several products from them over the past few months, and consistently delivering and pumping out both under their own brand, Bombard's own line of products, and they also have the Chica Lab, which I guess is a more functional type lineup. They've been adding to both of those sides on equally, but this past week they entered the frozen food realm, which is that's not an easy thing to do. It's a big leap, especially for a company like them, to just be doing traditional consumer goods, packaged stuff, and then just diving straight into frozen food. And they did so with an ice cream that has a very, very respectable nutrition profile. Much better than, well, not much better, but a lot better than the likes of Halo Top and Enlightened. Closer to the Blackstone Iso Cream, which was, again, one of the leanest ice creams we'd seen. But as with most trade-offs, you don't get that flavor experience. I still felt that Blackstone's ice cream was good, but I like the Halo Top sweetness and taste better. But yeah, so they came out with a good ice cream. It comes in 300ml tubs, so not quite the typical pint that we used to seeing, which is a 470ml tub, but it is still packs more protein than Halo Top, which again, so it's you got a 300ml tub from Bombard, 473 from Halo Top, and you get the same protein. So yeah, no need to do much math, but it's what I think that's just under 2/3 the size, and you get the same protein. So it's pretty good on that. So you get 20 to 23 grams of protein, 4 to 5 grams of fat, with slightly more on that chocolate flavor at just over 6. 8 to 11 grams of carbohydrates and no sugar, zero sugar, with only 153 to 182 calories per tub, which again, a very respectable, very solid nutrition profile. You get the same protein, if not more, depending on the flavor, as Halo Top. And the calories are, like I said, 153 to 182, whereas Halo Tops are typically around 300 or above. Some go under. But yeah, I only compare to Halo Top just because that's the one people know and the one most likely familiar with. But I'm not too sure how these ones taste. As I said, when it comes to calories and dropping the protein and things are a little leaner and more nutritious, you do sacrifice flavors. That's not always the case. There are some truly amazing products that just make it hard to believe that they're that good. But I would be interested to try that one. Obviously, I'm not going to be unless I actually go to Russia. Much like how we eventually tried the Barbells ice cream, we had to go to Sweden to do so. But they launched this in several flavors, so they didn't just hit it with one or two. They launched it in a unique set of flavors, might I add. There's tiramisu, Bailey's, vanilla, chocolate. Actually, I don't think it's bourbon, vanilla bourbon, mango and passion fruit, tiramisu, Bailey's, and chocolate. So they've got and mocha. So there's 6 in total. So they've got like a mix of traditional with your chocolates and vanilla, but the vanilla has a bourbon twist to it. And again, mango and passion fruit. It's a very cool little unique product. Again, not very large compared to that pint, but still getting that same nutrition, that same solid nutrition, the same amount of protein, but half the calories as typical ice cream. So it's a very well put together product, again, for a company that all the way out in Russia. And if you've ever followed them on Instagram, man, great interaction, very popular over there. But and the other point I will make about this is the Bombard's ice cream is crazy, very well priced, very reasonably priced. Well, you do have to take into account like exchange rates and whatnot, but if you were spending US dollars over there, you'd get 6 of those 300ml tubs for just $15, which works out to what, I'm not great at math, just under $3. So I would give that around the price of a protein bar, and that's it's a tub, so it's a frozen food ice cream. So I mean, it's a pretty damn creative product to see them do. And knowing Bombard, we saw them do this with their chicken breast snack. We saw them do this with their Chica pies. We've seen them do it with a lot of products. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just kind of the beginning for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they extend to more flavors. I wouldn't be surprised if they do go the barbells route and put together like an ice cream on a stick. So I was already impressed with them so far this year as a functional company. They do have like sports stuff, but functional seems to be their pride and joy, and I'm excited to see where they go from here. It's only halfway through the year and they've done something like this, so it'll be fun to watch them grow and expand. But the next story, we've got two stories to close out the show, and they're both energy drink stories. The first one's probably a pretty quick one. We'll jump right in and out. It is another collaboration flavor from the gaming giant G Fuel. This year, they've just obliterated the amount of flavors that they had compared to previous years. They've introduced, I try to do my best to keep up. I think it might be 5 or 6. I can't keep count. But this past week, they announced another one, and this is another flavor that is already available for the G Fuel powder, and is a collaboration with one of their ambassadors, and they turn it into a G Fuel energy drink, and it is PewDiePie's flavor, which is just called PewDiePie, but as the man himself confirmed, it is a lingonberry flavor, which is extremely popular fruit and taste out in the Nordic countries, including, of course, PewDiePie's home country of Sweden. And they're turning that into an energy drink. I don't know exactly when it's coming. I can't recall. Sorry, I'm just looking at it now. I believe it's early next month. Sorry, so it is dropping within the next few weeks, out early next month. And as per usual, G Fuel has a page on its site where you can just go sign up and be notified as soon as it drops. And it is worth doing that because they have done something with their last few flavors where you get early access, not just like a day before, but like several days before, and it kind of gets you in there before it actually sells out, which could like throw off when that full launch comes. But yeah, you can check that out on the site. We've got full details, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see. But the last story we have, again, is another energy drink, and it is VPX Sports New Fusion. Now, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this product, not last episode, but it had to be one of the recent ones, when VPX launched a Redline New Fusion. Now, I'm probably not giving you much chance in pronunciation here, but New Fusion and New Fusion, I don't even know how to pronounce it any differently. So one is spelled with a Z and one is spelled with an S, and I'm referring to the Fusion part. So VPX has introduced two beverages. Redline New Fusion is the product we mentioned previously. It is an focus boosting energy drink infused with nootropics. And then the new product, New Fusion, is spelled with a Z, to be really, really exact. There is no dash between the new and Fusion, but it is the same concept as the Redline version. Same concept. It is a focus enhanced energy drink, but it does have some differences. Firstly, it comes in a bigger can. The Redline New Fusion comes in a slim, sleek 12 ounce, and this new one comes in a 16 ounce, so 25% bigger. And the ingredients are also different. It doesn't come with, I believe it's missing. It doesn't have. No, it does have betaine. I'm trying to figure out now. But the key difference is that it has EAAs. So it's got a full dose of EAAs, 7.5 grams, a combined 7.5 grams of all 9 EAAs. Of course, BCAAs are included in that. And so that's not something you get in the Redline New Fusion. But, here you go. So the ingredients that it doesn't have, so the New Fusion that's come out now versus the Redline one, it doesn't have teacrine and yohimbine, which are in the previous version within the Redline one. However, it does still have caffeine, like the Redline drink, and it does still have cognizin choline, like the Redline drink. So there are some crossovers, but the biggest point, I think, from what I gather and looking at the formula, is that you get those added EAAs, which is not lightly dosed. It's 7.5 grams. It's not a sprinkle, and you're not getting the yohimbine or the teacrine, so less variety of stimulants, and it's obviously a bigger can, but still zero sugar, 0 calories, and you also get different. I'm pretty sure the same flavors actually. No, I don't actually know if it's entirely the same flavors. That hold me to that, but it has launched in 5 flavors, and like the majority of them, because the Redline New Fusion, if you remember, that launched in a lot of flavors that were already available for Bang. And so this has done the same. There's Froze Rosé, Mango Bango, Rainbow Unicorn, Candy Apple Crisp, and Radical Skedaddle, which is the flavor they only just announced for Bang. And yeah, so it's you can check that on the site. You can buy it. Oh, sorry, we'll double check that. So I was just looking at the nutrition facts. It's not 0 calories. There are 5 calories on the label, but you can find out more details on that on the website. And being a bigger drink, obviously, it is more expensive. There's 12 16-ounce cans for $49.99. So that is whereas the Redline New Fusion is $39.99 for 12. So it's obviously it's bigger drink. You get the same amount of cans, but a lot more volume. So it's not too surprising that it's more expensive. But yes, that was a lot of news jammed into one episode. Thank you for tuning in. As mentioned, we'll have our interview with Clint from Naughty Boy later this week. I believe we'll have that up on Wednesday or Thursday. And I told you we'd be keeping the interviews strong. Last week was a bit delayed, but we've got a few more lined up for the coming weeks. And yeah, thank you for tuning in, and hope to have you back again next week.